Hello and good morning, everyone, from the bright and sunny Toronto. Bright and sunny, but very cold. We are entering, but in fact, we have already entered the winter, and we are looking forward to some really frigid, cold winter ahead of us. But yes, inside it is warm and it is nice, and it's great to be with you guys once again with our information session. So, if you are new here, a very warm welcome. And if you are coming back, thank you for joining us again. If you are watching it from the comfort of your home, or if you could share with us your location, we'd be able to acknowledge you and identify some of the regulars. And I can see there are many of them already who have joined us. They continue to support our information sessions, and I'm very thankful. So today's program, today's broadcast is going to follow the same pattern that we usually follow. We will be sharing with you some of the updates, important updates, and then we will take up your questions. So the agenda for today is to discuss the new NOC, the National Occupation Classification, Canada implemented from 16th of November. We will also talk about 16 new occupations that have been added for the purpose of express entry. Three of the occupations have been eliminated. We'll talk about Bill C-19 as well, which is expected to be implemented from 2023, and how would it impact your selection under the skilled worker program. We will also touch base upon the work permit inquiries that we received on regular basis. There is a obvious surge in the number of work permit inquiries that we receive, and obviously this is because of the fact that there are a lot of misconception. There's a lot of fake news going around work permit, and people usually follow them, and then they end up losing a lot of their hard-earned money. They lose their hopes as well in the process, because local agents in your local market, they spread the misinformation. So we'll talk about it. How can you identify the fraud, and how can you save yourself from being from becoming a victim to those fraud. We're going to do that, and we will also talk about the updates on the parents and grandparents sponsorship, and processing times, which have increased considerably in the recent times. So we'll do that, and we'll also answer some of your questions to the best of our abilities. So first and foremost, Canada implemented the new national occupation classification, and if I could share with you the screen, I will show you the announcement about the national occupation classification. So this is the program delivery update on the Canadian government's website, and you can see that they have announced that from November the 16th, IRCC, well, it has already switched to 2021 version, and it means that the 2016 version has been replaced. In 2016 version, we had skill level NOC A, B, C, and D. And these have been replaced by a 6-category system representing the training, education, experience, and responsibilities needed to work in an occupation. So if you have already applied, and if you have a valid express entry profile, you need to actually log into your profile, and you need to update it manually. And if you're applying now, obviously you will be selecting your occupation according to the new system. So it's very important. If you have not already done so, you will not get an invitation to apply unless you change the NOC code. So if you log in, you will see that your NOC, the old NOC that you selected, has been eliminated, and your profile appears to be incomplete now. And if someone has not updated it, they would not know then that there is a draw, and they would not get the invitation then unless they change it, unless they select the new NOC code. So it's very important for you to do that. And if you are applying now, you have to be very specific. You have to choose your occupation according to the new NOC code. So that is an important news. Now, for the purpose of the new NOC, we've seen that there are 16 new occupations that are now eligible for the purpose of express entry, which what that means is that Canada is now targeting those occupations which are in high demand now, and that is why they've been included. But it doesn't mean that the requirement to enter the express entry pool have changed in any way. That means if they have included an occupation that is in a very high demand, like truck drivers, it doesn't mean that they will automatically be considered for immigration. It means that they still have to meet the criteria to enter the pool. They still need to meet the minimum criteria to enter the express entry pool. They are still subjected to express entry draws, the ranking system. So that is how it is. And that is why when you see the good news on the local agent spread that now your occupation is going to be considered, they don't explain that nothing has changed in terms of the selection criteria. So it's very important for you to understand that. The occupations, the most notable occupations that have been added include payroll administrators, for example, dental assistants. They were not there before. Nurse aides and patient service associates are now there. Pharmacy technician assistants have been included. Elementary and secondary school teacher assistants are there now. They were not there. They were considered under NOCC category. Now they can be considered for the purpose of express entry. They've also included truck drivers, transport truck drivers, bus drivers, subway operators, and other transit operators. Heavy equipment operators are there as well. Aircraft assemblers are there. So you can see that there are several occupations that have now become eligible for express entry. At the same time, 3 occupations have been eliminated. These include other performers, program leaders and instructors in recreation, sport, and fitness, and tailors, dressmakers, and milliners. So you need to take advantage of this if your occupation has now become eligible, but other requirements are there. Associated with this update is the fact that Canada will be implementing something called Bill C-19 that they passed in Parliament. And what it does is that it would allow the Minister of Immigration to select applicants from the express entry pool based on their occupation. So you can see where they are heading to. They are making certain occupations eligible because they are in high demand, and they're allowing the Minister of Immigration to select people from the express entry pool and invite them to apply for permanent residence based on their occupation rather than the cumulative ranking score, which means that if you compare it with the current criteria, says you can get an invitation or expect to get an invitation if you have a high ranking score. And we know that the past rank for the federal skilled worker program has been hovering around 500 ranking points in recent times. But going forward from 2023, even if you have less ranking scores, it is expected that you can still get an invitation to apply based on your occupation. So this is important. If you are considering applying for Canadian immigration, this might be a better time as compared to the time when you might have created your express entry profile and it got expired, partially because of the fact that There were no draws happening in the year 2022, most of the year 2022 and 21. So now, as the draws have resumed from July, but the ranking score is very high still. Going forward, if you have experience in an occupation which is in demand in Canada, you can expect to get an invitation to apply based on your occupation, regardless of your ranking score. So hopefully, this is going to be a ray of hope for a lot of people come 2023. So this is important to understand. So let's acknowledge people who have joined us today. Let me see who is with us today. The very first person joining us is Muhammad Shoaib Hassan. Thank you for joining us. There is a question from Qasim, how to work from in Canada. So this is one of the agenda that we have today. So I would try to clarify the confusion surrounding applying for work visa, because we receive a lot of inquiries about work visa, and we'll discuss about it. Uh, there are so many people joining us today. Nazakat, thank you. Said Arthur Mansoor, thank you for joining us. Arthur, I think you are from Saudi, right? If I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if I don't know where you're from, but this is what I saw your profile, I guess, the other day. Okay, we have Nicole joining us. Thank you for joining us. I think you're joining us again, right? The second time. Thank you. Bina, thank you for joining us. Ehsan Khan, very good question. Can we apply for PNP by ourselves? Most definitely, yes. You don't have to seek the assistance of anyone. You have and you should have the capacity and capability of applying on your own. In fact, whatever cases that we take up, clients we take up, we expect them to know the process inside out. That is why when we conduct a consultation, we try to explain them how the system works. And if you are in a position to understand the system, you're certainly in a position to apply on your own, right? Especially if you're seeking assistance in your local market and you're speaking to local agents, it's not worth it at all, right? So you're better off applying on your own if you're not seeking the assistance of a licensed consultant. It might be a good idea to just apply on your own instead of dealing with someone local, okay? Hassan Khan, thank you very much for joining. Farid Shahid, a very warm welcome. Thank you. Qasim Zishan, thank you for joining us. So I'll jump right into the questions now, because I think it might not be possible for us to acknowledge everyone. And as I go through, I keep on acknowledging people as well. Okay, so let's take up the question. It's a very pertinent question about the work permit. Qasim wants to work in Canada. So let me first clarify, and I've done that in several of my other videos as well, that when you ask someone to assist them with work permit, you need to understand that work permit application is the second step in the process of applying for work. Second step, that means there is a first step, and the first step is to get a job offer from an employer, and then there is a step involved on the part of the employer to get the job offer approved by the Labor Department here in Canada. So if you approach someone, especially in your local market where these people are selling jobs like anything, right? They would charge you money against the jobs they are arranging for you. And the news for you that doing so is totally illegal under the Canadian law. One cannot charge you any money, even a single cent, to arrange you a job. So when you approach someone, you say, can you get me a work permit? It's a totally wrong approach, because you cannot apply for work permit unless you have a job offer that has been approved by the Labor Department in Canada. And you cannot apply for the approval of the job. Your employer needs to do that. And in the process, they are required to provide information to the Labor Department about the job, the legitimacy of the job, the requirement, and the evidence that they did their best to find a suitable employee here in Canada, but they were unable to do so. They did their best, but they were unable to find a person to fill that job. That is why they should be allowed to hire someone from overseas. And if that justification gets the approval of the Labor Department, then you can submit that positive labor market assessment with the work permit application. So no one can get you a work permit directly unless there's a job offer, there's a legitimate job offer, and you have not paid for that job offer. No one can charge you for this. So very important for you to understand, do not pay for your jobs. Do not fall prey to advertisements online on social media, people asking for money, even for toward administrative service fee, even a single cent. So where do you look for jobs? So my recommendation is always to approach employers directly online. Each one of them apply or advertise for their jobs online. Job Bank Canada, the official website of the Canadian government, is the most important website. You should create your profile there, and you can use plenty of resources over there to create your profile, to create your resume, and then look for jobs that suit you and then apply. Yes, there are employers there who are only looking for Canadians and they are not interested in hiring people from overseas, but those are not your target anyways. You need to look for an employer who's open to hiring people from overseas and approach them. But you need to make sure that when you approach an employer and they turn out to be someone who asks money, then obviously they were pretending to be employers. They were just those people who were disguised, and they were looking for your money. So you need to ask them, why are you asking me to pay you when I am the job seeker? You should be paying me, right? So you have to understand that. So Job Bank is one of the greatest resource, but there are other job sites as well. I would always recommend that you create your LinkedIn profile and sign up for alerts from LinkedIn, so that current jobs relevant in your field could be delivered to your inbox, and other websites like indeed.com or monster.ca. So register yourself, and if you are still seeking the assistance of a professional, make sure that they are in Canada and they are properly registered as recruitment agents, recruiters. And under Canadian law, recruiters cannot also charge you any money. So even if a licensed recruiter asks you any money, first of all, a licensed recruiter will never ask unless that person is pretending to be a licensed recruiter. And those are available online as well. Do your research and apply accordingly. All right. So as I always recommend, your first stop, your first point of start should always be the Canadian government's website. I'll just share it with you right here. So this is the website of Canadian government, cic.gc.ca, and you would see that there are sections: visit, work, immigrate, study, citizenship. So it's a no-brainer where you should be starting your research. It is not a bad idea to ask someone for assistance, but it is indeed a bad idea to ask someone for help without knowing the process yourself. The information is out there on the official website. So even if you're hiring the services of a licensed consultant, I'm not talking about those who are in your local market, absolutely unauthorized. No matter what they do, no matter how do they market themselves, they are still unauthorized. And at best, they are only the agents of licensed consultants. You don't want to deal with agents, you want to deal with the consultant directly. But even if you are hiring the services of a licensed consultant, this is the place to start. You don't want to be taken for a ride. You don't want to, lose your money. You don't want to enter into the system, or commit to something which is not going to materialize. Yes, the system is invitation based. You, if you qualify, still there is no guarantee that you're going to get an invitation to apply. That is something else. But if you did not qualify in first place and someone gave you misinformation, did not guide you properly, just for the sake of collecting money from you, and you did not do your research, you will end up losing your money. So don't do that. This is my sincere advice. And to answer this question again, can we apply for PNP by ourselves? Yes, you can apply for PNP or any other program, be it visitor visa, student visa, on your own. There is no such requirement that you need to involve someone, but there is a requirement that if you do involve someone, that person needs to be licensed by the Government of Canada. And you need to identify people who are claiming to be licensed and those who are genuinely licensed by the Government of Canada. You should be able to understand that, check their names in the registry, and don't get confused between the agent and the actual licensed consultant. Okay, so let's see if I can share with you a recommendation from the Canadian government website about protecting yourself, because we receive hundreds and hundreds of uh, inquiries, um, phone calls, emails asking if this visa is genuine, if this visa is issued by the Canadian government. And you can see from the look of the document itself that there are a lot of irregularities in the document that was shared with them by the scammer. So you should be able to identify, and I would recommend that you go on the website of the Canadian government and go to the section of protect yourself from immigration fraud, and you would see that there are recommendations on how to report a fraud, internet, email, and telephone scams, document fraud, marriage fraud. So there are so many, sections which you can explore to make sure that you are not uh, a target of a fraud or scam. Never send money to these people. You will not see them again once they get hold of your money. And this section, find out if your representative is licensed. This is important to check. You need to understand that only members of the law societies in each province and uh, College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, they are the ones who are authorized to represent your application right here. All right. And you need to be able to check the registry. This is the public register for licensed consultant. And there is something very, very important that you need to understand here, that when you're searching a name, when you search a name, you need to search the name of the RCIC, the Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant. You put the last name, first name, and then you check their name. You don't check the name of the agent there, because there are agents in your local market. It is okay to deal with that agent as long as agent will connect you with the RCIC, right? So agent is someone who cannot represent your application but can connect you with the RCIC. If the agent is not connecting you with the RCIC, is only dealing with you directly and is signing the agreement with you directly rather than asking you to sign an agreement with the RCIC, then you need to turn around and don't deal with them, because what they're doing is they're pretending to be a licensed consultant, which is breaking Canadian law. So it is very important for you to do that, because overseas local agents, they have smartened themselves. They now know how to fool people, and then they get the agency from a licensed consultant, and then they pretend to be licensed consultant themselves. It is like you're dealing with a doctor, but the doctor's assistants start claiming themselves to be a doctor themselves, right? So you cannot put your future in the hands of an agent. Always deal with the licensed consultant who may be behind an agent. Okay, so this is important. So if you were to search my name, you would put last name here, or you could put my first name, my RCIC number. But if you don't have the number, you would search, and you would see my name here with license number, contact number. So many times you would see that these agents in the local market, they would quote a license number. But when you put the license number in the search, you would come up with a different name. And that's where you can identify that, oh, this person is actually an agent only. He's pretending to be licensed consultant himself. He's quoting the license number of the consultant, but he's not the consultant, right? So what you need to do is to protect yourself. When you find the name of that consultant, you need to get in touch with the consultant directly. Okay, so that is something that we wanted to explain to you. Okay, going forward, let's take a look at the current processing time, because a lot of people ask us about that as well. So let me share with you the screen where to go for checking because a lot of people, they are confused about the current processing time, and they even sometimes they don't know where to check the processing time. So this is the Canadian government website again, and there is this tab, check processing time. And I'm particularly interested in finding out the processing time for visiting Canada. So if you look for visitor visa application from outside Canada, and if you choose your country, say if I choose Pakistan, I'll get the processing time. This is the current processing time for a visitor visa from outside Pakistan, 220 days. So if anyone telling you that it is going to be within a week or two, obviously you need to check the official website, right? If you talk about student visa, for example, study permit from outside Canada, it is 12 weeks at the moment, right? So, you can check the processing time for all the applications right here on the Canadian government's official website. I'd like to see the family sponsorship for spousal sponsorship outside Canada, and you can see it is 20 months at the moment. So processing time have increased considerably in recent times because of the heavy backlog we accumulated, the Canadian government accumulated. They are doing their best to clear the backlog as soon as possible. So far, very little progress, but we're seeing some progress slowly and gradually. Okay. Muhammad Shiraz Khan is asking, what is the process of work permit after study permit? Enroll in master's program, and after that, which scheme is best for PR application? So if you look at the current announcement by the Canadian government, they are introducing this TR to PR program where they're going to be able to select people who are on a temporary status here, and obviously study permit holders are on temporary status. Students, international students, when they complete their studies at a publicly funded institute, depending on the duration of the program, they can apply for a postgraduate work permit. And depending on their situation, if they did not already have work experience accumulated back home, they will have to get at least 1 year work experience, and then they might be able to qualify in one of the provincial program for international students or the federal program Canada Experience class. So at that time, there will be a lot of opportunities. Okay. There's a long question. Jobanjit Singh is asking, applying for jobs, low salary job offer letter, foreign worker hire season, apply visa, apply. So basically, what he's trying to ask is that he needs help in finding job. And I explained it to you earlier how to find a job in Canada, and deal with only licensed recruiters if you're seeking jobs, or apply for jobs directly, deal with the employers directly, rather than asking people to arrange jobs and they ask you to pay for those jobs. It's not a good idea. It is against the Canadian law, right? Okay. Mona Fatma, thank you for joining us. Dr. Tahir Khan, thank you for joining. Hassan is from KSA. Farid Shahid is from the lovely city of Lahore. Suhail has joined us from Pakistan. Sufia Masood is from Lahore. Gohar Ali is saying, what are the chances to get PR if your age is between 45 to 50? Yes, so the way they designed the system, the way they updated the system in 2015, it favors younger applicants. And if you have already turned 45, you are between the ages of 45 and 50, there is a strong likelihood that you're not going to be able to accumulate sufficient point to get immigration, to enter the pool, express entry pool, let alone get immigration. So to enter the pool, there is a criteria of 67 points, and most of the people who are losing these many points in the age factor, they struggle to even get those points, which would allow them to enter the pool and become a potential candidate. So you would be blocked right there at the start, most likely, unless you have points on other factors like the points for spouses' language skills or presence of a relative in Canada. You would still find yourself struggling. So look at other options. There are other options such as people who have senior management experience and have good net worth. They might consider programs that may allow them to come to Canada as entrepreneurs. So if you explore those options and if you find yourself fitting in those and you have the financial capacity as well, it is worthwhile to explore those options. Sometimes people who are in the age bracket of 45 to 50, they have grown-up children, college-going age children. So sometimes they consider sending their children interest instead of trying for themselves as students. So children can come here, they can study, and they can perhaps sponsor the parents. So think on those lines. I don't know about your circumstances, but I'm just giving you suggestions generally. Okay. Qasim is from Islamabad. Okay, so there's a gentleman, Nazakat, is asking for the number. The numbers are available online, but I've seen that a lot of people, they're interested in speaking only and they don't wish to provide their details to allow us to make assessment of their eligibility. First of all, they don't even have to provide us anything. They need to go onto the website of the Canadian government, and this is where they need to go. Let me share with you on the screen. Your very first start should be right here. You should go to the website of the Canadian government, check these 6 selection factors, and see that you need to score 67 points on these factors: language skills, education, work experience, age, arrange employment in Canada if you have one, and there are adaptability points as well. And point system to enter the express entry pool has been explained in detail here. So anyone who goes through it can actually calculate their points themselves, and they can then determine whether they are in a position to qualify to meet the minimum requirements or not. So instead of starting your journey with a consultant, especially in your local market, do this first. Explore your eligibility on the website of the Canadian government first. And then, if you feel the need of assistance, seek assistance from someone who is licensed by the Canadian government. And I showed you how you can find their names. Once again, a reminder, you need to deal with a consultant. You don't need to deal with an agent, okay? And so Sophia had the same question as Gohar, so I've responded. Let's go ahead and see if we have more people joining us. Sami Sam, thank you. Maaz Qudusi, thank you for joining us from Pakistan. Sayyid Atir is from Lahore, right? I'm sorry, I thought you were from Saudi, but thank you very much for joining us. Mona Fatma, thank you. Kaniz Raza is from Quetta, beautiful city, and I think it is frigid cold in Quetta, just like we have here in Toronto at the moment. Bina is from Karachi. Okay. Sami Sam is asking a very important question. He's saying he applied for Saskatchewan nominee. His score is 64 in accounting technician. Does he have any chance for invitation? So no one can guarantee or predict your invitation because as the name suggests, it is an invitation-based system. So everyone has to wait. And people claiming um credit for their help in getting people PNPs. They put the news about PNPs and ask people to contact them as if they are the ones who are arranging PNPs for people. It is all very bad. You cannot guarantee anyone a provincial nomination, right? It's just like, they're looking for your money. You need to understand, regardless of anyone on board with you to assist you, no one can guarantee you that you're going to get an invitation, regardless of whatever points you're scoring. Because your job, or the best you could do, is to make yourself available in the pools of these provinces or the federal government. And now it is up to them to select you or invite you. No one can predict, no one can guarantee that. And even the person who's applying or who may have landed in Canada by way of these programs, one day before their invitation, they never knew whether they are getting that invitation or not. Understand that system and you will not be disappointed. Otherwise, when you approach these local agents in your market, their approach is they don't explain to you how the system works. They would take up the case first, saying that you do qualify. And then they explain to you after taking money from you that it's an invitation-based system, and that too after 1 year when nothing happens. If nothing happens, it is not because you were not qualifying. Nothing happened because no province selected you. And the reason why no province might have not selected you is because perhaps your occupation was not in demand in that province. And even if the occupation that you nominated was in demand, you still were competing with thousands of other applicants. And there are quotas assigned to the provinces. They cannot invite everyone. So it's not the fault of anyone. It's not your fault that you did not get selected. It's just that the province had their quota in place, and then they selected whatever number of people they wanted to select, and those who were in high demand in Canada, and then they proceeded. Okay. HS Studio is asking, currently they're doing ACCA, but they want to move to Canada and change their program. Is it possible? So you can get admission in a Canadian institute, obviously, and you need a study permit to study in Canada. For that purpose, you need to approach Canadian Institute and then apply for a study permit. Any program of study that is longer than 6 months, you do need a study permit, okay? We have Messiah Tower joining us, and he need our visa. So we maybe you're asking, you need assistance in visa application, but obviously we are not the visa officers. We are not the embassy. We are immigration representatives. We assist those who involve us and assign us the task of representing their application. We'll be happy to do so. I would recommend that you check your eligibility on the official website of the Canadian government. And then if you find that there is a hope in your case, then you can approach us. We also have our free assessment form on our website. You can complete it. We can provide you our opinion, whether you qualify. And if you do, and if you decide to retain our services, we'll be happy to assist you. Okay. By the Rahman has joined us. Thank you very much. Sayyid Arthur is saying that he has read about GST or GTS, maybe Global Talent Stream. Please guide and help. So Arthur, please log on to the website of the Canadian government and read about it. You would know that you still need an employer, and GTS is something that is not possible for those people who don't have an employer. And those who are offering this, they're basically offering you a bundle, a combo. They're saying, okay, you apply under this and you don't have an employer, well, we're going to arrange it for you, and this is going to cost you this much of money, and you end up getting a misrepresentation refusal, a ban of 5 years, because you paid for your job, right? So be very, very careful there. Okay. So saying Canada job offer letter is real or the money earning way for the fake consultant. Okay, so yeah, it is very much illegal. It is fake as well, and you have to be very careful. You have to deal with and consultants are not authorized to arrange your jobs, right? It is the only people who are allowed are the licensed recruiters, and they are supposed to charge you not a single penny. I repeat it many, many times because my heart goes out to those people who approach us. They tell us that, this is the copy of the visa, which obviously looks very fake on the face of it, but they still have that hope that maybe I would tell them that, yes, don't worry, this is a real visa. But I have to break the bad news to them that not only the visa that they are having a copy of is fake, but also the fact that the thousands of dollars that they have invested, they're paid to this guy, you have lost it, right? So be very careful, guys. This is very, very important. Okay, someone is saying there is no voice. I hope you guys can hear me, right? I hope that I'm just not speaking only and no one is getting me. I don't know. Let me see. Do you hear me, guys? I don't know. I hope. Oh, very good. Okay. Ehsan, thank you very much for confirming that. I was like, I was getting stressed that I've been speaking for so long and you might not be hearing me. Okay. So let's see if I can answer a few more questions. Okay. So I lost the track of question. Okay, let's see Farid Shahid's question. Do you foresee a drop in CRS further? Yeah, we've already started seeing the drop. The last drop we had was around 490, 492, I believe. It started out with 500 plus, and then it has reduced. So we are hoping, and then we are also very excited about Bill C-19, where people could get selected on the basis of their occupation as well. Okay, so let's see. There are so many questions. I actually lost the track, so there are so many of them at the moment. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, Arthur Mansour is asking safety engineer. So obviously, I think he was referring to the time when I dropped my cell phone right there. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go here. Hello from Istanbul, Sana Shakil Lafani. Thank you for joining us all the way from Istanbul, beautiful city. And I hope things are safer now. There we had the sad news of from Istanbul. So I hope things are, and be safe there. Tahir Ali, diploma holders with experience. So educational qualification is one of the factors involved. There are other factors too. So if you have a diploma, you have work experience, you need to see your language skills, you need to see your age, and you need to see your overall score. So do the assessment on the Canadian government website and you will know. And then if you want us to make that assessment, we can do that as well, okay? So Jadsan, thank you. Sohail, thank you for joining us. Faraz is saying visa fee is refundable. When you apply for Canadian visa, Canadian government charges a fee according to the category, and they don't refund the fee if they refuse your application. Okay. If they return your application being incomplete, then they will refund you the fee. But if they have refused it, they've already processed it, they will not refund you the fee. Shoaib Hussain, thank you very much. There is a LinkedIn user, I cannot see the name. Thank you for joining. Kaniz Raza is asking how to register herself for Express Entry Pool. So first of all, your first uh, point of your starting point should be this page, right? I think I'm showing you a wrong one. I'll show you the correct one right here. So start from here. This is the 6 selection factor link. 6 selection factors, Federal Skilled Worker Program, Express Entry. Check your eligibility, see if you're getting 67 points or not. And then once you have this, then you go back to the Canadian government website, and I'll show you the link now. Okay. So you go back to the main page, and you then select Immigrate to Canada. And then here you have the Express Entry link. And there they would explain to you how the system works, what documents you need, how can you submit your Express Entry profile. And then once you're invited to apply, you go to the second stage, which is to apply for permanent residence if you're invited. And if your application is approved, how can you land in Canada, right? So it is important that you do your research. And if you need any assistance from our office, feel free to get in touch. We'll be very happy to assist you. Okay. Faizan, thank you for joining us. Asad from Saudi Arabia, thank you. Like Ahmad. Okay. Muhammad Mahmoud Shah Gadezi, thank you for your support. You continuously watch our videos. It's good to know. So Jadu said saying, please send a link for online applications. So I just showed it to you. It's just a matter of Googling it, and you'll be able to land on the cic.gc.ca. That's the website that you need to always refer. Instead of talking to people, especially in your local market, I'm actually glad to see that people are now getting the awareness that they should not be dealing with a local person. I sometimes say jokingly as well that a person who has not been to Canada themselves, they never had their Canadian visa approved in first place. How can they assist you? Regardless of the fact that they are indeed not authorized to do so in first place, but just do the simple test that, this guy is found in your local market and he's claiming to be your aide in your immigration program, right? Never got trained in immigration law, is not licensed, is not eligible to represent you. Hira is asking, IELTS is a must or not? Yes, it is a mandatory requirement. You need to have IELTS for the purpose of applying for most of the categories, Express Entry, PNP. Even students are required to produce an IELTS score. So yeah, it is important. Abdul Majid saying, do you have someone at Saudi Arabia to discuss face-to-face? Well, discuss with me face-to-face if you want to. I have seen that a lot of people ask, do you have an office there in my home city? Because they find it convenient to deal with a local person. But you need to understand a local person is not only not authorized to represent you, they are not able to counsel you even if they have the knowledge, because their knowledge will not be better than yours. You can also do the same thing. You can go on the website, you can study all the rules and regulations, but if you are looking for better advice for someone who is better trained in immigration law, then you should be dealing with someone who is a Canadian, who is authorized by the government of Canada, who's licensed by the government of Canada, instead of asking for a contact in your home country. You're not going to benefit from it. In fact, you could end up being harmed if you end up dealing with people in your home country. I do have liaison officers. I do have my local offices. I never allow them to counsel my client on legal immigration matters because it will be not justified. My client needs proper guidelines and you deserve it, right? So better deal with people who are not in your local market. Don't deal with them. That is what I mean. Okay. Um, Abdul Latif is asking if our organization provide assistance to refugee citizenship. No, we don't provide that assistance. There are people who specialize here, and obviously they are authorized by the government of Canada. I don't specialize in this area, so I might not be able to help you. Ahsan Khan is saying, thanks for the feedback. Can you please provide some link and data? All agents are fake in KSA, so please advise. So I just gave you the idea. I think you might have already seen that. My recommendation of how to find a consultant, not an agent. And yeah, I sometimes make unlicensed agents in your local market angry. I sometimes make the agents of licensed consultants angry as well, that why are you explaining the difference between an agent and a consultant? But I don't care, right? I care about you and I want to give you right advice. They can get as angry as they want to be with me, but that's our duty. All the licensed consultants, they have a duty to explain to the client. uh, we don't do it just for the sake of attracting a client. It's not like that. Obviously, if I'm online, I'm giving you some advice, I'll be happy if you retain our services, but the main target is to guide people so that they can take an informed decision. There are other licensed consultants here in Canada too, and they are equally good. Obviously, even with the licensed consultant, you would want to check their background, their reputation, their track record. But you absolutely don't need the testimonials and other claims from your local agent. Doesn't matter what they say about their achievements, right? So it's very important. Jabeen Suhail is saying that she is a software engineer with 12 years of experience. Can she apply? So yes, if you look at your eligibility, you see whether you're meeting the minimum requirements, and then you can consider applying. You can have a look at your your ranking score, the comprehensive ranking score. There is a tool available on the Canadian government website, and I'll share with you the tool. Most of you would know already, but for the purpose of those who have not yet explored that, I would share with you the screen right now. So you've seen that not only there is a 6 selection factor criteria. Once you have met that, then you are subjected to something called comprehensive ranking system, CRS. So there's a CRS tool available. So after doing your 67 points calculation, you need to then calculate your CRS. And this is the website, CRS, and it's available on the CICC website. You can see it in the address bar here. And there you answer these questions. Are you married? Is your wife a permanent resident of Canada? Will she or he come with you? Then you answer questions about yourself. How old are you? And so on and so forth. So, do your research. Even if you are approaching a licensed consultant, do your research before having a consultation with them, so that anything that they say, you can cross-reference, you can cross-check, right? Very important. Okay. Asif Sanij is saying, this is Asif. He is asking about a refuse case in spousal category, and he wants to apply in the same category. So if you have a refusal in spousal sponsorship category, you can appeal the decision, or you can reapply with documentation that would address or disabuse the concern of the visa officer that they raised. I would recommend that you book a consultation with us, because this is something that doesn't fall under the free assessment category. When we take up a refuse case, or if we were to give an opinion on a refuse case, what would be the outcome of the future application, what would be the impact of the previous refusal, we need to sit down in a formal setting. Okay, there is a link for a formal consultation booking you can use that link on our website, amirismail.com, and we'll be happy to set aside time for you, okay? Mahmoud Shah Gardezi saying 2 months ago he already applied. So we checked the processing time, right? And we saw that the processing time is around 220 days. So if 220 days have not passed in your case, then obviously you have to wait. Like saying finance NOC included. Yeah, nothing is excluded. Everything is there already. It's just that they included 16 occupation and excluded 3 of them. We just discussed about those, and you can find the details on the website. So yes, finance professionals, they are always in demand, and different provinces as well, like Alberta continuously select accounting and finance professionals on regular basis. So you can try there. Jabin is asking, can she apply? Yes, if you do meet the requirements, you can apply, and Canadian government doesn't charge you any money to create your express entry profile. It's free, right? Ghulam Ali has joined us for the first time. Thank you. Okay, so let's go down and see. I'm scrolling through my list of questions. There are hundreds of them, and I don't think that we'll be able to attend all of them, but I'll try my best. Okay. Bina is asking how much time it takes for TNP process or express entry process. So there are 2 steps involved in the process. First is to create your profile and wait for the invitation. And once you get the invitation from the province or the federal government, you submit a PNP application, or you submit an immigration application directly. Even if you get a PNP nomination, you still have to submit, or in PNP invitation rather, you still have to submit a PNP application to the province, that the province processes it. It takes around 3-4 months for the province to process the application. And then once you are invited to apply by the federal government, it takes around 6 months or more, although they've taken more in recent times, but 6 months is the target anyways. But we have to add to that the lead time, so because no one can predict as to when someone is gonna get the invitation. You have to add that lead time to the actual processing time that takes place after the invitations, right? So for someone, the process could be completed in 1 year. For some, it can take well over 2 years, depending as to when you're getting your invitation, right? Okay. Ehsan is saying, I've sent my details to your organization, but didn't get enough info. Kindly share the link or contact of some of your employees so we can proceed easily. So I'm sorry, Ehsan, we will not be able to share the details of any employees, because employees are not authorized to counsel clients. People are used to with dealing with local agents and local market staff. They are used to with dealing with non-Canadians. They think that people who have an office, a beautiful office, they are sitting across the table, they somehow are consultants, and they are okay to deal with those non-Canadians. They would just walk into their office, they would sit in front of them, they would treat them as experts, and they would say, sir, please help me. But they don't understand that dealing with the employees of a licensed consultant or agents of the licensed consultant doesn't serve them very well, right? So if you have access to the licensed consultant, you should book your consultation with them directly. Why to compromise on quality? Why to deal with employees, right? It's in your own interest. Very simple. Okay, Iram is asking that there are 5 family members. Herself, she is a pharmaceutical quality controller analyst, while one of our sisters is a pharmacist, and another sister is a school teacher, and her both parents are dependents, basically. What will be the best way to get it? So obviously, all 3 of you will determine your eligibility first. If you approach us, we will make an assessment, free assessment. We can let you know which one of you or all of you qualify. But for your parents, you can only sponsor them once one of you or all of you have become permanent resident, and one of you can sponsor them. There is a parent sponsorship, and we had an update as well about them that the parent sponsorship is currently on hold. They did invite people to submit PR application for their parents, but that was for those people who had already submitted an expression of interest for parents. So basically, they did not entertain any new expression of interest, but they are targeting a lot of parents and grandparents in 2023 to 2025 when they announced their immigration levels plan, where Canada is targeting 1.45 million applicants, new immigrants, and parents have a good quota there. But talking about you and your parents, Shiram, you would be able to sponsor them when you have yourself become a permanent resident, or you can sponsor the super visa. There is a special category for parents under which parents can come to Canada, stay here. They can be issued 10 years multiple entry visa, and on each visit, they used to be granted 2 years stay, but now they have increased it to 5 years. So that's something good, right? So even if you are not eligible to sponsor your parents for the time being, or the sponsorship process is on hold, you can still um, sponsor them on super visa. Okay. Let's move on to another question. Ashmal Van is saying Pakistan's passport policy no more accepts in surname, dash in surname. Last name is must now. Does this contradict with the rest of the documents with only first name? Yeah, obviously, your passport data is something that is used in your immigration records, right? So when you apply for Canadian immigration, whatever name is mentioned in your passport will be used. But obviously, if you have a lot of documents with no surname, you have to explain it by way of an affidavit, maybe that this indeed is my name. My document did not have my last name, but now my passport has a last name. I've included it recently, so my name should be read as first name, last name, but my other documents don't have those. So there has to be an explanation included with your application. Okay, let's see. So Jabin is telling us about her credentials: 12 years of experience as software engineer, and two kids, boy 4 years, girl 7, and husband also has a BCom degree. So it's a good profile. We'll make an assessment, let you know, or you can do your own assessment on the links I provided, and educate yourself, research yourself, and see if you need assistance. Then we can always assist you. And Abid Kazmi, thank you for sharing this broadcast with your friend. Thank you. And if you guys can share this broadcast with your friends, anyone who's interested in attending our next sessions and get some straightforward advices, then I'll be very obliged. Thank you. Okay. Samreen Fatma is saying for applying for PNP, how much cost is needed if she proceed with the organization? What will be the cost? Okay, so first of all, we make an assessment which is free of cost. We have a consultation which we decide according to the size of the family and the amount of work to be done. We provide you a quotation. When we provide you a free assessment, we also give you a range that may be applicable in under your category, so you do get an idea as to what would be the fee range if you do hire our services. And then once you have the consultation, we give you a well calculated quotation as well. And once you have reviewed that quotation, then it is up to you to decide to proceed further or not. If you like that quotation, then you can proceed further. Arthur is asking, what is the minimum score for IELTS? The minimum score required to enter the express entry pool is 6 bands in each component, but 6 is not enough, right? You have to endeavor to get better score. Taha is saying your FB page link. So it is facebook.com/Canada Immigration. You can search us as well. You would find Amir Ismail and Associate Citizenship and Immigration Solutions on the website, on the Facebook. Angel is saying when you're coming to Lahore. Yeah, we are planning to be in Lahore very soon. I will keep you updated about it. We'll provide you an update soon. Okay. So same question from Kamran as well. Okay. Okay, Oneza is saying how to apply for family immigration for Canada. So there is no category called family immigration. You should be qualifying in one of the categories and then include your family with you. Um, there are a lot of people in the local market who would advertise family immigration, right? So it gives an impression that because I have a family, I can get immigration. Doesn't work that way. You have a family or no family. If you're applying single or married or with children, you still have to meet the criteria. You still have to meet the minimum requirements, and then only you can qualify. Okay. Bilal is saying Canada is best or Australia according to earning money and job opportunities. I think both are good countries. You may have good job opportunities in one or the other or the both. You need to do a bit of comparison on yourself because the perspective of everyone is different. For me, Canada is the best country in the world to live. I've raised my family here for the last 25 plus years, and I think it's a very good place to raise a family. Very less discrimination, very receptive people, very welcoming people. But Australia is also a great country. Their people are also very nice. They're also very good um, community. And yeah, our community here in this country is slightly larger than what we have in Canada, in Australia. But I think it really depends. Some people don't really like Canadian weather. They don't like the cold, and winter is harsh in this country. So they prefer Australia just because of weather. But I think weather should not be the only criteria. You have to look at other factors as well, right? Kamran is saying, is there any Canadian immigration without IELTS? For any skilled worker program? No. Even for business programs, you do need to have IELTS in most of the cases. Nicole is saying that she is 45 years of age. She is into fashion, retail industry, and her sister is in Canada, and she's from Karachi. So, Nicole, you're losing significant points in the age factor. Not that you're old, it's just that from the immigration point of view, you start losing points from age factor from age 30, right? So, if you're already 45, then obviously you have lost almost all of your points. So, it would be difficult. If you have experience managing your own business, you might want to consider applying under the business category if you do have financial resources as well. If you have someone in Canada who is operating their own business and they do genuinely need someone to join them, maybe a job offer could help you, or you look for your job offer at a different employer on your own, the way I explained earlier. So I think with those added points, there could be a possibility. There are a lot of people who consider coming to Canada as student as well if they wish to upgrade their qualification, which can pave way to permanent residence. But obviously, your immediate target should be to study in Canada rather than coming to Canada as an immigrant, because that is a different pathway, right? That is a temporary residence pathway, and the officer is going to make sure to see that you're a genuine student or you don't have any intentions of residing here permanently. And it's an irony that as a student, they sometimes, um, a lot of times, refuse people based on the fact that they have intentions of residing here permanently, but they at the same time have permanent residence program. So it's funny that they do that, refusing applicants that we think that you're going to be a permanent resident, but then they have those permanent residence program for students at the same time. But anyways, you can try all those options, and we'll be happy to assist you if you need any assistance. Tanzila is saying, please tell the process of business visa for family. So if you're talking about business immigration, in most of the cases, they require you to have business experience. They require you to have sufficient financial resources. In most of the cases, the provincial business programs require you to have a net worth of 400,000 Canadian dollars. They also require you to put forward a viable business plan and also the willingness to invest at least $200,000 in a business that you may start from scratch, or you could buy an existing business. So there are several programs. Each province have their own provincial program for business. There are regional programs. You might want to look into the Alberta's regional program. So you can look into those, and you will find that some of the programs are really interesting, and you may qualify. Okay. Let me see if I can answer a few more questions before we see you off. Already 1 hour into the broadcast today, but we were barely able to cover all the questions today. Okay. Engineer Rula Khilji saying, can he apply for family visit visa with his father and brother because he has a fresh passport? Father has tire business in Pakistan and he visited more than 20 countries. So every application is assessed on its merit, and they look at the circumstances, the reason why you wish to visit. And young applicants, they do get Canadian visa. It's not that they are bound to get a refusal, but yes, if you have not been to other countries, if you have not been traveling around, and it's a fresh passport, and the reason is also not very clear, it's ambiguous as to why would you like to visit. It's just that you wish to accompany your father. You need to convince the officer that you don't have any intentions of staying in Canada permanently, right? You would come back. So show your ties, show your family ties in your home country, and you'll be okay. Saudi Adil is saying, can they apply for student visa after 12 years gap? So there are no restrictions as such that people can't apply, but yes, there is a little bit more of convincing required as to why you would like to study at this stage of your career. Why are you opting to study? And if there is a study plan that you have been working on, and you can convince the officer that by acquiring this education, it's going to be helpful for my career, and I'm going to utilize this education in my home country. If you can explain everything, then the likelihood of you being issued visa would be great. Adnan Raich has joined us. Thank you. Mahmoud Shah saying, here in Pakistan, an immigration program, APP, is very famous, especially local agents promoted to capture common man. What is reality? You want your guidance. So in Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, you need to have a job offer from an employer based in the provinces that take part in the Atlantic program. Nova Scotia, for example, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, all these provinces. And they have identified the employers who are allowed to hire people. So your best bet is to go on the individual website of each of these provinces, and you click the link of AIPP and look for the authorized employers. Employers under this program need to be licensed or authorized by these provinces and apply for jobs at those employers only if they have a job. It's not necessary that if the employer is listed, they will also have an opening. It's not like that. They have registered with the province, but as and when they have an opening, they will advertise and you can apply, and then you can get the help under the AIPP from those. These agents who are collecting money, minting money from you, they're doing something wrong, right? It's illegal. You don't need to pay them for the jobs. Sometimes they say, we are not charging for the job. We are just charging you the administrative fees. Even 1 rupee they charge you. It's illegal. Okay. Kotsia is saying that she's 37 years old and she has a daughter. Family is in Calgary. Guide what is the best way. So as I indicated, there's an assessment criteria available on the Canadian government website. We can also make an assessment for you. If you complete our assessment form, we'll be happy to assist you and get in touch with us. Sana, thank you for joining us. Austin joined us from Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. Irtiqa Rahman, good to see you too, Irtiqa. Mr. Jalvani, thank you. I'm a big fan of yours too, Mr. Jalvani. Thank you for being with us today. Tahir Ali, diploma holder. Okay. Sana is saying she's from Pakistan, age is 34, chances of PR. So Sana, obviously you need to look at other factors as well. Only age is not considered. Educational qualification, work experience, language skills, those of your spouse if you're married, adaptability factors, presence of a relative in Canada, all these need to be evaluated. And I showed you, if you did not join us or if you've already seen, the official website, you need to calculate your 67 points first, and then you need to calculate the ranking points, and then proceed further. Okay. Khadija is saying she applied for visit visa 2 times to consultant but rejected. They replied, I'm not satisfied that you leave Canada at the end of the time of your stay. Question is, can I apply the third time for visit visa or have to go from other way to my age is 47? You can always apply for a visitor visa again as many times you can, but obviously this time around you will have to look at the reasons more carefully, the documents you submitted more carefully, and see what different can you do to convince the officer in terms of convincing them that you have strong sufficient ties in your home country, financial ties, uh, family ties, and what are those things that are going to pull you back, or that would compel you to leave Canada before the end of the period authorized for your stay. So it's very important to address all those things. You might have already done so, but look at it from the critical point of view, that what raised the concerns of the officer, despite the fact that you applied twice. Muzaffar is asking that he has BE and he wants to settle in Canada. So obviously make your assessment. Our team can also do so. Get in touch with us. We'll be happy to assist you. Okay. Minaj is saying, what is the best way to connect with direct employers? So as I explained earlier, they advertise online. Make your profiles, apply for the jobs at Job Bank, make your profile at LinkedIn, or connect with the licensed recruiter here in Canada, making sure that you are not paying them any money. So there are licensed consultants in Canada, in Ontario. They are regulated by the provincial laws in Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, everywhere. They are licensed, and you can approach them, and you can register with them, and you should not be paying them any money. Okay, I'll take a couple of questions before we close the deal. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's see if I can answer a couple of questions before we say a bit goodbye today. Okay, so the questions about their eligibility, people can always complete our assessment form and we can get back to them. I understand you want to know your eligibility, but first of all, you can do so on your own, and you should, because you need to make sure that when you approach a consultant, they don't give you wrong information. You must already be knowing about the eligibility. But if you approach us, we will be happy to assist you. Mavish is saying we can meet in Islamabad. I want to apply. So Mavish, you don't have to wait for our travels, right? Especially with the ongoing situation in a country where international travel could be of a concern. Movement in the city could be of concern. Meet with us virtually. If you're meeting with me virtually, I'm still the same guy whom you would meet in person. So why delay your immigration plans just in our wait, right? So do that. Hundreds of people who meet with us online are equally satisfied. Okay. When at the next draw already happened with the new codes. It was, I think, day before yesterday. Okay, let's see if I can answer a few more questions. I don't think that I'll be able to attend to all of them. Okay, Mavish is saying that she has sent a CV for assessment. She has positive response and now want to lock time. Yeah, so please go ahead, and we'll be looking forward to speaking to you on the scheduled time. As a commonly asked question, and thank you for posing it, Temur. If I come to Canada on visit visa and try to find job, will it work? I don't think that it will work because your presence in Canada might not be helpful. Just being on a visitor visa doesn't increase your chances of getting a job offer from an employer. They will still ask you whether you're authorized to work in Canada or not. They still have to go through the process of the labor market impact assessment, and most of them are not interested in doing so. So, getting a visitor visa and then looking for a job, if that is your intention, then obviously you're better off um, applying for jobs from overseas. But if you are here, you can try your luck, no problem. But don't expect that because you're in Canada, you're going to get a job offer. Your presence doesn't matter in most of the cases, right? Okay. Uh, okay. So Jabin is saying, how can you contact us? You can just Google the name Amir Ismail. You'll find our website, amirismail.com. You can find our Facebook page. I think you're already on our Facebook page. It does have our contact information. Okay. Let's see if I can answer one last question. Okay. I think I've attended the most commonly asked questions, but there are some specific questions about the eligibility. For that, I would request you guys to get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to assist you with your assessment. Ubaid is saying, what is the immigration option for Pakistani professionals who have 2 years bachelor's degree? So if you have a 2 years bachelor's degree, you will be assigned points in the education factor accordingly. And those points will be most likely uh, less. Obviously, you're losing points then in the education factor. Most of the time, people who have 3 to 4 years bachelor's degree get sufficient points to be able to enter the express entry pool. If you have a 2 years bachelor's degree, you may end up scoring even less than 67. But you can do your assessment to see whether you are meeting the requirement to become a potential candidate in the express entry pool. And if this is the case, you may be able to get a provincial nomination depending on your profession. It could be any man in Canada in a provincial program, right? Okay, I said the last question, but this is the last question I think I'm going to take from Junaid Anwar. He's saying that his age is 40. He's a mechanical engineer. He's got total 17 years of experience, 8 years of experience as a project manager, 9 years as a maintenance engineer. Which stream will be suitable for me for moving to Canada? Like, so I think most probably you need to target the PNP option, and because you're losing significant points in the age factor. So that is what you should be doing. You should be going ahead with your IELTS test and your educational credential assessment. Explore all the provincial immigration program. Each PNP program has their own official website too. So register there. Um, you know, there are different options, but you may not qualify even in all the PNP options because some of them require you to have a job offer from an employer based in that province. If you do have that, fine. If you don't, then you should be focusing on those provinces which do not require you to have a job offer or presence of a close relative. Provinces like Alberta, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Prince Edward Island, and few more. Maybe Nova Scotia could be on your target list, or New Brunswick as well. So that's how it's going to be. I'm tempting to give more answers. Mahmoud Ahmad is saying he's 41.2, qualification MSc Computer Science, ACCA, and 19 years of experience. The same answer to you as well. Do your research, calculate your points. If you send us your CV, we'll be able to do that for you, and we'll be able to advise you whether you qualify or not. Okay. Okay, so it's a pleasure being with you all today. Apologize if we were not able to attend to some of your questions, and but feel free to send us an email at info@amirismail.com. Visit our website if you have any questions about the contact information. We have our WhatsApp number as well. Feel free to get in touch with us, and we will see you the next time. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.